you're a better friend than me. You were like, you want me to go and take a test? Because you want to take a test?
Yo, I honestly like you're right. I don't know. I was probably a better friend to him than I've been to a lot of people afterwards. So I don't know what compelled me to do that. I really just took a test because my friends didn't want to be lonely. That's crazy. And this ain't like a 10-minute test. We had to sit there for like 3 hours. Damn.
Yeah. I lay on the scale, you gotta glow, you gotta glow. She had my attention, she gotta know.
I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of the Let's Get That podcast. I'm your host Zeke, and in this episode, I'm my friend Gene to speak about his story. I'll give a content warning for any strong language used in this episode, and hope you have a nice day and enjoy the show.
Started. So, actually, the origin story, actually, what name would you name it? And then we just ask the questions from there.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem.
No, actually, how you represent it. Cool, yeah. Okay. So, in 3, 2, 1, I'd like to welcome you to join the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Zeke.
No problem. So, the first question I'd like to ask is, what would your origin story be, and how would you like to represent it?
Sure. So my origin story is a bit different from most people I know. I was born in New York in Queens back in 1997, but shortly after I was born, my parents actually sent me over to Haiti to live with my grandparents. So I think I was a couple months old on my first plane ride. And I spent the first 8 years of my life living in Haiti. So I think a lot of who I am today can be attributed to those 8 years, even though I don't remember most of it, given the age. But just certain disciplines that I've grown up with, like academic disciplines, came straight from my grandmother during that time period. So as you might know, things in Haiti got a little turbulent around 2005, 2006. We've never really been a stable country, but there have been periods that have been better than others. And the sort of golden period that we're having at the time that my sister and I were there was coming to a close, and there was like an increase in violence and kidnappings and things. So um, my parents decided that was the right time to bring us back here. So they'd been living in New York the entire time, living their best American life and everything. So they had us come back to New York to start living with them. We didn't really know English all that well. They tried to put us in a couple English classes to learn the language before we came back. But, there's only so much that teaching somebody how to say good morning, can show you and prepare you for being a third grader, essentially an immigrant at the end of the day, like an immigrant third grader in this country, even though I was a citizen and whatnot. So came back here for third grade, started that up. I actually lived over in Far Rockaway. Now I live in Howard Beach, Queens, but I used to live over in Far Rockaway. So I went to PS 104 out there. Um, I began in the whole ESL classes that everyone had to do. That was another thing that I'd say shaped me, because it pushed me to have my drive up. As I said, my grandmother had developed this sort of academic drive in me from the start. And so coming to this new country, obviously my performance was going to go down, and like that pushed me to work harder back in elementary school. And I'd say elementary school is definitely the hardest working I've ever been in my life, but don't tell my bosses that. um, but yeah, so I went through that. And then I ended up going to Scholars Academy over in Rockaway Beach for middle school. That was my first experience with sort of, I guess, what we call it, some level of advanced education in this country. It was a really good school. Had to take a couple tests, do interviews and things to get in. Wild stuff. It was also my first experience sort of dealing with my blackness, because, back in Haiti, all I had around me was black people. And then when I lived in Far Rockaway, all I had around me was black people. So for the first time, I was at a school that was 90% white, and it was just a complete culture shock. And um, it was a very great period in my life, in that I was really trying to fit in with people that I didn't fully understand. So, I was trying to be something that I wasn't, but I also didn't know what that something was. So it was a real confusing period in my life. had to deal with some levels of bullying and difficulties just getting acclimated to that. And then after that, my mom made the decision for me that I'd be going over to Brooklyn Tech High School over in Brooklyn. So that was my first taste of New York away from Queens. Was definitely interesting. It was a school with over 5,000 students plus the faculty on top of that. It was monstrous. My academic performance definitely took a hit at that point in my life. That was, I'd say, my lowest performing arc. If we're going to be ranking, that'd be my lowest performing arc so far. And but what that really drove me towards was sort of developing habits away from school and away from studying and things like that. Just, I guess, learning more about the world, learning more about the people around me. Admittedly, a lot of that time was really spent in video games, so I don't know how much I did learn, but I was making an effort to get out there. I got involved in different extracurricular activities. I was learning about. I was a part of the Jewish Culture Club in my school. At some point, I was part of Aspira, which was like the Latino culture club, and I was part of like Progressive Student Awareness, which was this political thing, which started a bit of my interest in certain political ventures. And then after that, I came to Baruch, which is where you and I met each other. And yeah, at Baruch, I studied computer information systems with a minor in theater. Sort of throughout that whole art that we just covered, I developed sort of an interest for computer science and an interest for acting and an interest for writing, and all of these things were like in my face and I didn't know what to go for. But traditional Caribbean parents, they want you to sort of really secure something that is financially stable for the future. So I decided, I'd be putting the computers first. That'd be my major, but I still would have an element of those artistic endeavors as a part of my minor. So I pursued that. And then after I graduated Baruch, I came to work in corporate America, technology consulting. So that's where I'm at right now. And I guess that's a high level overview of the arc of my life.
Nice. And then how would you represent it? What kind of medium would you choose?
How would I represent it? That is an interesting question you have asked. I don't know how much information I should be giving away right now, but there are certain things in the works. Let's just say if I were to tell stories about my life, I would write a book. Let's just leave it at that. No, yeah. So I'd say for sure preliminary way I'd want to do that, just because writing is such a big part of who I am now, is that I would write about it, write about the people I've met, the experiences I've had, and then if there are just a lot of little arcs within that. So if there'd be opportunities to create like short movies or short films out of those chapters or out of those arcs, that would be where I venture into next. But definitely, if I had to represent it, it would be through writing, through poetry, figuring out a way to make that work.
Nice. Continuing with that writing. So all of that, it's kind of funny how you was born in the States and then your parents like, nah, let's do this in the back. Like,
yeah,
compared to other parents, usually it's usually the other way around. Like, you know what? Let's get to the States.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My sister and I used to joke. It was like, yo, they ain't want us, man. And they're like, nah, we had you know what? Let's just take a little vacation from this for a few years. But I mean, I don't blame them at all. There are definitely invaluable things that I've picked up from that. The ability to speak multiple languages, that's a privilege that I'm gonna forever be grateful for, because that opens doors for you. And it also made me better for like the multiple years of Spanish that we all have been forced through in this New York educational system. So that helped me out there. But it's definitely been more positive impact on my life. But absolutely, they were definitely just not in the mood for it. And they're like, you know what? Y'all take care of this for a little bit.
Like the meme where you're saying you take care of your parents' grandkids.
Yep.
And you're just like, you know what? my mom did such a good job of raising my kid, of raising me.
Right?
Let
She
them
can
raise
do
me two more.
it. She can do it twice. What's the problem? Yeah. I was actually just having this conversation with my dad. So my dad has 3 kids, me and my sister and my brother. And we're just talking. It was his birthday this past week, so we're just talking to him, and we're joking about how when we have kids, if we're gonna travel or something, we'll leave a kid with him over the weekend. And he's like, "Why would you do that? Why would I take care of your kid? Why would you?" I was like, "You're the grandparent. That's your job. You take care of the kid when I can't. That's all there is to it." So yeah, funny you brought that up.
Yeah, my mom was like, you know what? I'm not taking care. You could drop them off, but come back the same day. I'm just like, but see, with my grandma, you didn't do that. I will stay at that house sometimes. Like, you break up the cycle. Like, you did a
Exactly.
good thing.
We have tradition for a reason. Now, I'm not about every type of tradition, but that's one that benefits me. And so I am very much for that tradition. So the way we made him just give up on it, we're like, so you're gonna tell me that you gave us to your mother for 8 years and you can't take our child for 2 days? And he was just like, okay. And he had nothing to say to that. So don't break the tradition.
And it feel like that, but like learning the different identities and everything. So when you went to like tech, how was that? Like, I remember I took the test and I was like, you know what? I looked around like this ain't for me. I ain't gonna do that.
um Honestly, I didn't think it was for me either. When I went there, basically I didn't know about tech until a few weeks before, or a couple weeks before the deadline to apply for the test. I just remember, I think what it was in I don't remember if it was 7th or 8th grade. I think one of those two where we applied for it. And my friend was just telling me, hey, I'm going to take this test and I'm really stressed out about it. His name was Jackie. So Jackie was letting me know, like, his parents have basically been on him and helping him prep for this test for the past like 5 years of his life, which to me was insane. Because I had just heard about the test when he started talking about it. And he was saying, he has to make it to Stuyvesant. He has to make it to Stuyvesant. That's like, if he doesn't, then everything's over. So obviously it was something very important to him. And he wanted a friend to come along with him to take that test. And I was just like, it's a weekend. I don't have nothing going on. So yeah, let me go and take this test with you. But I'm over here like his parents have been prepping him for multiple years. I just found out about this thing. So I'm really just going in there to waste my time, but it's whatever. I went in, and at the time I was at Scholars and I was planning on staying in Scholars and going to their high school because they had a very good high school as well. And, I had the grades for it. So I was just planning to do that. But then when we got the results back, I saw that I got into tech. And I was, in my mind, I was still like, yeah, whatever, I'm still going to Scholars. And my mom was like, no, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You are going to go. And I'm over here stressing because I'm coming from having easy 20-minute bus rides to middle school to now I'm going to have to be on the train for an hour for high school. Like, that was a whole life shift, And it's not like the bus rides I used to take were the Q52 or whatever. It was the cheese bus. So it came to my house, picked me up, dropped me off where I needed to go. Now I had to go to a train station to get to another one and find my way to the school. So admittedly, I was one of those kids who had his dad walking with him to school his first week. All right. I was one of those. So if I was in a high school drama film, I would be getting absolutely clowned on. But it's okay because tech had way too many people for anyone to care or remember that you were the one who had your dad with you. So that was how that experience started off. And, that's why I went into it. But it was rough, man. It was rough. Like, I had good grades before, but now I was surrounded by people who all had good grades before. They were all at the top of the class in their elementary schools and their middle schools. Like, they did this. And I was not ready. I had begun a really bad habit of slacking off on my homework in middle school. Because back in elementary school, my parents were really on top of it. But middle school came and they became a little more lenient on it. Parent teacher conferences were a nightmare. But I had developed this bad habit with just not doing my homework. And when you're doing that at tech, that shit did not fly. Like it was not okay. So my grades started plummeting. I used to be really good at algebra. Geometry was kicking my butt. Like it was rough. And it honestly wasn't until senior year that I really just like found that switch and flipped it around. And I think part of it was because it was a matter of effort. Like it is a very difficult school, but I think with all types of school, like if you put an effort into it, you're going to get something out of it. And for me, I realized like I've been really underperforming in school. I've been really disappointed in my parents. And next year, they're like, I'm going to go to college and they're going to be paying for this. So do I really want to make them pay for me continuing to get the grades I was getting? So in that last year, everybody waits for senior year of high school because that's like, I'm gonna just go and chill out. I'm gonna do whatever I want. But for me, I said, okay, this is grind time. I still showed up like 50 minutes late to my 8 a.m. class, but it was the double period, so that didn't matter. But I definitely applied the pressure there. And yeah, so it wasn't really until my senior year that it turned around, but just being around so many people, so many smart people, diverse people, like it was crazy experience, really.
Yeah, my experience, I heard about it in middle school, but I wasn't really like paying attention because kind of just wait until like you kind of need to. Then I tell
Yeah.
study for it, and I was like, this ain't for me. Then I remember sitting in the auditorium, and there was like, look to your left, look to your right. Halfway are you gonna make it? I ended up being the person who didn't make it. It'd been funny if we were both in the auditorium that day. We didn't know each other. And then years later,
That would have been crazy. Yeah, but
like
yeah.
we look at each other like you make it, I won't make it. It's okay.
Nah, I don't think it happened like that. But funny enough, though, I did have a friend um, who did want to go to tech, and he got the score to get into tech, but he put some irrelevant school first on his list. And so you know how the SHSAT works, it puts you into whatever is prioritized. So he got into that irrelevant school and there was nothing he could do about it. So he just had to stay at the school where he was at. But yeah.
And you're a better friend than me. You were like, you want me to go and take a test because you want to take a test?
Yo, I honestly like you're right. I don't know. I was probably a better friend to him than I've been to a lot of people afterwards. So I don't know what compelled me to do that. I really just took a test because my friends didn't want to be lonely. That's crazy. And this ain't like a 10-minute test. We had to sit there for like 3 hours. Damn.
Like it's hard for a group of 10 of us to meet up together for either college or now. And you know what? Let's take a test.
Let's just go take a test together because why not? I mean, go ahead. What's up? Yes, he did. He did get into Stuyvesant. Yeah, he got in by. I remember exactly. The cutoff score was 579, and he got a five. No, it was 569, and he got a 572. And then I think for me, the cutoff score for Brooklyn Tech was 511, and I got a 515. I don't know why I remember this. I just do. Okay. But yeah, he did get in. So everyone was happy. Well, I mean, obviously there were people in the class who didn't get in, so they weren't happy. But like it was it was pretty bad on his part because he started going around to everyone in the class when he got in, like even the people who didn't get the results they wanted. He was like, I got into Stuyvesant. I got into Stuyvesant. I was like, damn, bro, you really gonna make a lot of people feel pressed right now. I was happy for him anyway.
He has a good end to the story.
Yeah, because for every person like him, there are equally people who spent that amount of time studying, the 5 years and didn't get in. So, yeah, I'm happy his story went well. I just really didn't expect that I would have ended up in that whole community with him.
I think I got 312 on the test. So.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember how any of that thing worked. I just remember what the cutoff scores were. But I did hear about the conversations that were going around last year. They kind of died down during COVID. But the conversations about like revamping how the admissions works for the specialized high schools. I know I'm in an alumni group on Facebook, which I mean I never go on Facebook anymore, but whenever things were popping, like people would be texting you about it, so I'd go check it out every now and then. So I was in an alumni group, and it was like the biggest heated debate I've ever seen in my life between alumni of a school, just going back and forth talking about the sort of the inequalities that exist in the educational system and how certain things like these tests disadvantage them and stuff like that. So that was interesting to follow, but I'm not really sure where they're at with that right now.
I graduated, so
Yeah, we're done. Washed our hands of all of that stuff, honestly. No, but I mean, some of the people arguing about this are like 50 years old, going on about back in my day, you know, now blah blah blah. Everyone could get in. You just had to study enough, or you just had to be smart enough. Blah blah. And it's a whole lot of tone deaf people who are usually used to being in echo chambers, just trying to talk over each other. But I think the reason why it was a really interesting debate for me was because, a lot of this was started because of our mayor, Bill de Blasio, and I went to school with his son. I actually had AP World. Yeah, I had AP World History with Mayor de Blasio's son. So I'm thinking like he's trying to change up this whole system that really benefited his son. So that was interesting to hear about. Fun fact, his son wore shorts and slides to graduation. All the parents were talking about it. My dad still brings it up to this day. He's like, I can't believe you're running for mayor and you let your son walk in with slides and shorts to his graduation. I was like, bro, it's not our problem, please. That's not our problem. Let's not worry about other people's kids, okay? Okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And then we end up in the same college.
Yep. Baruch's a great school. Yeah. I don't get paid to say that, but maybe I should. If Baruch, if you're watching this, hit my line. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what'd you feel about your experience at Baruch though? Like if you had to sum it up in like a sentence.
I definitely had a lot of fun. I met I was talking to all the people I could speak to, and
Yeah.
then I definitely started to open up and learn more. And I really started learning how to travel. Cause I used to take the train and bus. I used to take the bus to school, but then I had to start taking the train. I was like, okay, now I learned the system. So I pretty much started to learn the city.
Yeah. Yeah, that helped for sure. You live in Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that was definitely my sort of introduction to the whole subway system because even for that one train ride I had to do, I had to make a transfer. Um, I'd take the A all the way from Mott Avenue to Fulton Street. Or no, from Mott Avenue to Hoyt and Skirmerhorn, and then I'd transfer to the G and take that to Fulton Street.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And then I met you because we playing basketball, and I was like, this is
yeah,
talk to them.
back in the day before you weren't injured.
Oh, that was almost every semester. Yeah, I've been injured like every.
It really was like every time I'd be like, "Yo, you gonna play basketball again?" You're like, "Nah, I just injured my knee yesterday going up for a rebound, so I won't be doing that for a little bit." Every time I was like, "Bro, I mean, at some point you just got to decide I'm not gonna go for rebounds anymore. You just got to decide that's it. That's the game."
Yeah. First one, I got a knot in my head because I got elbows in my head. Then I then I hurt my right foot. And then after that, I got a laceration under this eye. Then my nose got scratched.
Damn.
And then I sprained my left wrist. And then after that, twisted my, I think it was left ankle. Then twisted my right ankle.
You remember the whole injury history. Oh my God.
I mean, I was in and out of the nurse all the time.
Yeah, yeah, you were. The only thing I remember was something I did to somebody else. I don't think I ever really got like I had to occasionally get like a little pain in my wrist or a little pain in my ankle, but it was never anything that like put me out of commission. But this one time, you remember Adams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing defense on Adams, and then he was holding the ball and he was just messing around with it. And then I went to swipe the ball out his hands. And then I think he moved the ball away and leaned forward. And my hand came right across his face, knocked his glasses down, and the lenses popped out. And let's just say I had to pay a good little amount of money after that one.
He's just like, hey parent, I injured somebody.
Yo, it came out of my pocket because right after it happened, he was like, we're going to the lens crafters and we're getting this fixed. I said, shit, yeah. I guess I don't know what's it. Like part of me wanted to say, bro, you know not to wear your Ray-Bans when you're playing basketball. But the other part of me was like, maybe he can't see without his glasses. So because there were actual prescription glasses. So I was just like, you know what? I was careless. I'll just go with you and we'll take care of it. But yeah.
Injuries.
One time, speaking of injuries, my sister actually sprained her ankle a couple weeks ago. Well, she thought it was a sprain because that's what the ER had said, but she actually had a follow up this past weekend, and turns out it's I think they call it a nondescript fracture or something like that, but it's essentially a fracture where the bone doesn't come apart, so that's why they had missed it the first time. So she's going to be out of commission for a while. So I've been picking up on some house duties, but it's been quite an interesting time because neither of us had ever gotten injured that badly before. And so the first week she came in with her crutches, we were sitting here trying to formulate how we were going to get her up the staircase and down the staircase. It was a whole ordeal. And she's working from home right now. So she has to come down the staircase that we have in the house to come sit at the computer and log on. And so figuring that out was a whole other thing. Had some creative solutions for it, but yeah, it's been very fun dealing with that.
That's how I do geometry. But okay, cool. So we take the right angle from the top of the stairs, and then if you take the hypotenuse, because if you use the physics and the gravity,
We bring in what's next? We're gonna bring in the chemistry. We got the carpet, so we have to think about sort of how the bottom of the cast is going to interact with the material of the carpet, and the bonds that will be formed as they pick up traction. Going out, yeah, I'm with you right there.
You go to your computer, use your computer skills, make a computer model. Like, okay, cool. So just in case, these are different scenarios that can happen.
You could, one, break your ankle again. Two, bust your ass. Yeah, it's definitely dangerous because we got some steep staircases in here. So, I almost fell. And I'm someone who I come down the staircase really recklessly. Like I just go down the staircase sliding basically. And so nowadays, whenever my sister hears me that, like she hears me doing that, she gives me the death glare because she's like, you better not break your ankle. We can only have one cripple in this house.
Like we can't take care of each other. One of us got to be out.
Yep. She was like, who's gonna go get the food from outside? I said, we just leave the door unlocked. They can figure out the rest.
Yeah, all those injuries. I remember the first time I got injured, I couldn't even go to the nurse because I was 17, so I couldn't sign for myself.
Oh,
that was hilarious.
Wait, so you couldn't sign for yourself but back in middle school and stuff, like people could still go to the nurse, or couldn't they?
Yeah, but I think that's like a different thing because probably I don't know. I guess your parents signed I guess like the school had like a certain what you call it, like authority over you. I guess like a certain jurisdiction. They use under their care, but when you're in college, I guess since you're an adult, you have to sign each time.
Oh, so you mean when you were in college and you were still 17?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like this was in high school when you were
nah,
17. Okay. Huh. I didn't know that, but yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Because like generally they're dealing with only people who are legally adults. Yeah, when it comes to college, so that makes sense.
yeah. I was like, that's hilarious. Yeah, and then one time I sprained my ankle to play ball the next day. I was like, it's good enough.
That was like when LeBron sprayed his ankle on the court a few years back, and then you just saw him like rolling his foot in his shoe, and then he just stomped a couple of times and just ran back onto the court.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, okay, yeah, I guess that's what we're doing now. Just tightened up the shoelaces a little bit, and then we're good to go. Back on the court.
Yeah, all this school stuff. I do not miss it. I miss my friends. I'm seeing them every day for no reason. But going back to school.
Yeah, I mean, with COVID now, like I miss everything. Like even even if I wasn't in school, like even when I wasn't in school, but I was working at the office in New York, I had my friends who worked within some blocks of me, and so we'd link up to like get tacos somewhere in the middle at Times Square. We'd link up to get drinks after work, so it to me it was kind of like when we'd go back to the pause office at the end of the day or to the Team Baruch office and just chill out for a little bit. But now it's just like you're done and your home is, you don't, it's not every day that you get to have a podcast with Zeke. So it's not like you got something coming up. Like you just log off and you're like, damn, what now? What do I do now? So it's taken some acclimating, getting used to. Definitely had to have become a far more interesting person in that process, figuring out different hobbies for myself that I didn't partake in before. So that's been, I mean, it's been a good experience, honestly. Sort of forcing me to be in situations where I'm exposing myself to new things, not necessarily being able to go out, but still doing new things so that once I'm out of quarantine, right, there's just a lot more I'll be, I guess, knowledgeable about in a sense, and more people I'll be able to connect with. And I was just saying this to someone the other day, but I think that it'll be a lot easier to make friends and get into relationships after quarantine, not because everyone's going to be desperate for a friend or desperate for whatever, but more so because, typically before in life, like when you're in school or you're at work, that's sort of what's connecting you and another person. Like you either have the same class together, and that's the link that's bringing you guys together. When you're at work, you're working on the same project, or at the very least you work at the same company, so you can make friends off of that. But when you go out into society, like you go to a bar, I mean, you can talk about the fact that you're both at the bar right now, but that's only going to take you so far. There's a game on, you can talk about that, but generally there's not a lot that brings people together. But now we've all lived through this experience. Every single person, who believes in COVID at the very least, has lived through this experience of being quarantined and being in this pandemic. And even if they didn't believe in COVID, they still live in a world where this is happening all around them, right? So that's something that's going to link people together, and that's an immediate conversation starter. Of course, I think, once we're out, the question, so how was your quarantine, is going to get real boring real fast. But there's so many questions you can ask revolving somebody's quarantine, right? That, just having that one linking thing that you can always fall back to as like, this is what this person and I have in common. I think that's going to be helpful for people trying to make friends.
A conversation starter. Like, how do you
Yeah.
survive?
Yeah. How'd you survive? Same thing. Whenever there's a zombie apocalypse, if that ever ends, and you're meeting people, that's going to be what links y'all together. How'd you survive? And then friendship will blossom from there.
Like if I'm Walking Dead. Is this, I don't know. Being like sickly as an elementary, kind of get used to staying inside. So I have a lot of inside hobbies anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my Switch, which is right next to me. So I always connected to my computer, and then I could just use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I had this to
Yeah.
keep.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely ways to keep busy. Absolutely ways to keep busy. Like I've always been a big gamer ever since. Well, my first console was a PS1 back when I was 6, but I broke it like one day in, so we don't talk about that one. But like the first console I really had was my Xbox 360 back in sixth grade. So ever since I got that one, like I've just always been into gaming, and I've had days where I played a whole lot more games than I should have. But when quarantine started, like that gave me a reason to sort of dive back into it because as we went through college, towards the end of it, or not towards the end of it, more towards the middle, I kind of started playing games a whole lot less than I used to. I still played a lot during finals week and midterms week because for me, that was my way of like decompressing. So it would be either games or Netflix. But generally, I wasn't playing as much as I used to. But then with COVID coming in, I just had like that was right there. It was easily accessible and I could just hop back into it. And it's not like I had anything better to do. So I just easily got back into the flow. And then when the new consoles dropped, I picked up an Xbox Series X. And so, I've been on that. In the past couple weeks, I've winded down on my gaming again because I'm just working on a bunch of things right now. And my mind is like firing on all cylinders. And so you caught me at a good time for the podcast because like there are moments where all I really want to do is play games. And then there are moments where I want to be active and I want to be talking to people. So you caught me at one of those times. So yeah, right now I'm just working on a bunch of different things, moving from side to side. So I haven't had as much time to play, but I still save like, I don't know, like half an hour a day just to wind down at the end. And then, yeah, I agree. And I do have a Switch as well, but I don't play the Switch as much.
Yeah, I didn't have money for a PlayStation 5. Like I had money, but like that was all the money I had at to my name at the time. And I was
Not
like,
worth it.
I was like, I don't really need this.
Yeah, not worth it. I like for me, I kind of want to also get a PS5. Like I have the Series X, and I have a PS4. So really the PS5 is kind of redundant right now because there's not much on it that I want to play that I wouldn't be able to play on a console I already have. But it's also the PS5. So I want to do it, but the whole like it's just everywhere that it drops, it sells out almost instantly. And same thing happened with the Xbox when it first dropped, but I was there like the first day they set up the pre-orders. I had multiple tabs open. I was just going through all the tabs, like refreshing everything. And I ended up getting into two of them, bought two, canceled another order so that somebody else could buy it. But um, for the PS5, like I have not been as lucky with that. And I'm not going to sit around waiting for the drops either so I can time it. So I'm just like, if it happens and like it's available and I can get it in my cart and I can pick it up, then I'll do it. But it's not something I'm actively like seeking out right now.
Yeah, yeah. I ain't have money. I still have the money. I just wait till the PS5 Plus comes out. But now,
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna do that because I think this is the first time, at least since I've been paying attention. Maybe that's why I'm noticing it. But from my friends who paid attention to this before, I feel like this is the longest that the new consoles have gone without being like at least semi-consistently in stock. Like every single store that drops them, they sell out immediately. And part of it is because the scalpers have their bots constantly running like 24/7 ready to pick it up whenever a drop is announced. But yeah, it's crazy. So I wonder with all this demand that they have for the original version, how quickly they're gonna move on like releasing those slim versions that they usually do. Plus they came out with both the hard disk and the digital version on day one, the digital version being the more affordable one. So I don't know if they're going to go with the with the usual setup that they usually do. But I know a lot of people are not happy with the white PS5 and they want a black PS5. So I feel like that's something we have in the works. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just like, I see my friends who be selling them. I'm like, hmm. I actually got to play with my friend's house. I think last month was January. A
Yeah.
bunch of was chilling. He had a PS5. I was like, oh, word, you got money. I see. You got the teaching money.
Bro, I saw someone we both know. I'm not gonna say names, but I saw someone we both know reselling PS5s for $1,000, and I was so close to unfriending. I was so close because I was like, you are the very person that's making this a problem for people. All right. Like, there are kids out there who wanted a PS5 for Christmas, but ain't get it because somebody wanted to buy it and go sell it for twice the price, you know? So, I was, uh, but I mean, I'll go ahead.
My friend, he got it for retail because his friend got it. Got two of them, and he just sold them for retail.
Okay.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. You know, where are those friends at? You know, I go take tests with people, but nobody wants to give me a retail PS5. I see how it is. People moving funny these days. Okay.
But it's cool. It's like, oh, this is different. Got to use the headset. I was like, I play some Call of Duty. I was like, this is nice.
Yo, I miss the days of playing like Call of Duty like a try hard with my headset on. I'd just be, you know, camped up in a corner waiting to hear somebody's footsteps. And then the moment you hear those footsteps, you're popping out the corner. Did you play Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got my first Moab camping in a corner with a Type 95, just listening for people's footsteps. It was trying to remember the name of the map. I think it was Mission, but it was like one of those maps where that was kind of deserty, but it had a lot of old buildings. And I was just camping on this ramp, and people kept on coming after me. And you know, I had the turtle beaches on, and I was just like, I hear him coming from the left. I'm going for it. I just kept doing that over and over. But how was it to play with the DualSense controller? I know that was like the biggest innovation they had in terms of the accessories, the new controller.
I don't know. I didn't really feel anything. I was just playing cards. I was like, it felt normal playing cards.
Okay. I think it's a technology that they're probably like the game developers might make more use of going forward, but it
Yeah.
also might be something that maybe only the PlayStation exclusives make use of, because that's just going to be more work for them to specifically design like sound and everything for the PlayStation separately from how they did it for the Xbox and everything else. So yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this one we have friends.
Yeah. I think one of my friends has it. I might honestly just pop out to his house uninvited.
Just like, hey, big head.
You know, I bring him a little plate of cookies or something. I'm like, hey, brought you gifts. Mind if I come in for a couple of minutes? Just want to say hi to the family, you know. Haven't seen them in a while.
The quarantine and everything. Like work and college.
Yeah. Uh, uh, have you been meeting up with anybody during this time? Like
Yeah.
just
It's
yeah.
like the same group of like 10 of us. They first started like three of us playing Fortnite together on the Switch. Well, not like Switch and computer. Yeah, Switch.
Okay. Oh yeah, because they have crossplay with
Yeah.
Fortnite, right? Yeah.
And then after his work for the summer, then we started hanging out like in person at a friend's house. And it was like, you know what? This is cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And you
I
played
get
Among Us
that.
a lot.
Yo, my friends and I started playing Among Us when it first came out. But for me, like it was fun for sure, because I've always enjoyed like mafia games and resistance and things like that. So when it first came out, it was really fun, but like everybody got addicted to it and they wanted to play every night. And I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna play this game every night. So at some point, I just like, if somebody's asking me to do something over and over, I get burnt out from it without even doing it. So at some point, I just completely stopped playing with them. And they started getting mad at me. We have a Discord group and we usually get in calls like throughout the day just because, not because we're doing anything specific. We'll just be in there chilling with each other virtually. So I get in the call and then somebody will make a joke and I'll be like, oh, I don't get it. And they say, well, maybe you get it if you played Among Us with us. And I'm just like, bro, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep.
I keep getting an imposter. I just checked the stats. I got imposter 22 times. It could me 53 times. Sometimes it'll be imposter like 3 or 4 times in a night.
That's like definitely not even statistics, but yeah, they never gave me imposter because I was okay with that though, because anytime I was imposter, I was so stressed out. I was just like, bro, I don't want anyone catching me. And one of my friends is a master interrogator when it comes to Among Us. So like he would just sit here and ask all the right questions. And then, if you stutter just a little bit, he'd be like, yep, that's the imposter right there. Just send it in the chat, calling me out to everyone. And then that's the end of that. So I was a lot happier, having somebody pull up from a vent and smack me upside the head instead of me being the imposter, because I would not survive as imposter.
Like my first 5 games, I got imposter 4 times. So they asked me what task you did. Like, I don't know. I don't know the task. I'm just starting.
Yeah, that happens to be seen. No, but I wasn't an imposter. I wasn't even an imposter, but for my first couple games, nobody explained to me that you had your task in the top left corner and you had to be doing them. So somebody was asking me, what task did you have? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what task I had. They said, that's real suspect that you ain't know what task you had. I was like, bro, I just started playing this game 10 minutes ago. I don't know what you're talking about. If you want to show me, I'm cool with that, but I'm not the imposter. I just don't know what you're talking about, okay?
He's like, all right. He's like, all right, kill. I'm like, all right, cool. How you play the game? Kill. Okay. That's it. That's all I need to know. That's it. All right, cool.
And then people started trying to take advantage of that too. Like people who just started playing the game, they'd come into the chat, they'd be like, I just started playing. What does this kill button on my screen do?
Yeah, that game had us for a month, 2 months. It came out at the same time with Fall Guys. That was cool.
Oh yeah, it did come out. That's one where my presence was even more short-lived. I think I played Fall Guys twice with my friends, and that's another one that they got mad at me for. But I was not good at Fall Guys. I was so bad at Fall Guys. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. The thing about me is, I mean, I can enjoy a game if I'm not good at it, but I usually don't. So, for me, if I'm pulling up and I'm just dying and losing over and over, I'm gonna wear off that game so quick. And I think it's one of those games where the more you play it, you sort of pick up on the tricks and the mechanics of all the different activities. But I was not willing to invest that time. That game was not serious enough for me. So I just said, you know what? Y'all have your fun. I'm gonna go play 2K because I'm kind of good at that still. And then you can handle your business. But
yeah, I got 1 victory. So
one. I mean, I have 0, so that's better than me.
But I can't play because my brother bought it when he had the PlayStation Plus on his account. So then, for me to get it, I would have to buy it on my account, and I was like, that makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, if you already had it, nah, I wouldn't do it either because I don't even play. Did? Yeah, I don't know. But like every time an update comes out, my friends are like, yo, we hopping on Fall Guys for the new update, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we're hopping on for the new update, yeah. And then a week later, they're just like, yo, I thought we're supposed to hop on Fall Guys. I said, yo, I thought so too, bro. That's it's kind of weird that didn't happen. Yeah, I was under that impression too.
And then I get one of my friends to buy me a PS5, but she won't buy me one. I'm just like, you're not friends. You're not really friends, I see.
But it's not the same. Like, we don't be going to people's cribs like we used to when we were younger. You know, when you were younger, like all the time, you'd be over at somebody's house and you'd be playing
I
their
never
console or
was.
whatever. Oh, you didn't even do that? Yeah, for me, I used to, but nowadays I never go to people's houses anymore, and definitely don't play their consoles. But even then, like going to their houses and playing their consoles, I'd be like, damn, I want this at my house now. I don't want to just do this when I'm over at your house. I want it at my house. So that's how I got my first Xbox, because I used to spend my summers down in Florida with my aunt and my cousin, and my cousin had a 360. And like I fell in love with Halo and 2K during, I think, the summer of '08 or summer of '09. Summer of '09 for sure. I fell in love with Halo and 2K. And when I went back home, I was like, there's no way in hell I am waiting a whole year before I could play that Xbox again. So from that moment until Christmas, I was just begging my parents for it. I put together a nice little PowerPoint presentation as to how I was doing in school and why I deserved the Xbox and where they could buy it from. Like, I was dedicated.
Yeah, my mom always bought my mom or my grandma always bought the consoles, but then my mom was like, I'm not buying a PS5. I was like, you gonna fail me at this point? All right, bet. I had a PlayStation 1, 2, PSP, 3, GameCube, DS, Lite, DSi, 3DS, the
Well, we
Wii.
had the DSi, and I skipped the DSi. I Yeah, I had the PS1. I had the 360, then the PS4, and now the Series X, and then I had a Game Boy Advance XP. I had the DS Lite. I had the 3DS after that, and then I got the Switch. Um, but there's some games that I missed on Game Boy Advance, bro. Like, there was this one Dynasty Warriors game that I used to be obsessed with, and Pokemon Emerald. Um, yeah, and I would not be able to tell you where any of that is right now. I mean, I've moved houses, so I know it's definitely not here. But yeah, I miss those. I remember I had this one Sims game once that I was in love to. It was on the Game Boy Advance. And we would give our clothes to the laundromat and they take care of it. And this one time we got the laundry back and they just had something in a little bag on the side, and it was like a crumpled up cartridge of that Sims game, because I had left it in the pockets of my pants and nobody, like, I hadn't checked to see that. So it just went into the washer and got completely destroyed. So that was a devastating day. Um, yeah, still not over it, honestly.
I used to think about like, man, if I take that pocket, if I did something different.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's why every time now before the laundry gets done, I'm checking every pocket of every pair of pants, every sweater, anything that goes in. I'm checking every pocket because I can't go through that trauma again.
Nah.
Even though now the most valuable things I have in my pocket is like a chapstick or something, so no, I'd be fine. But
yeah, I still got my PS. Still a bunch of PlayStation 2 games. There's a thing called a Panasonic GameCube, where it's a GameCube with a DVD player. It was a Japanese exclusive, and when I got a lot of money, I'm gonna buy it. And it's something called a PSX, which is a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 together. Another Japanese exclusive.
and is it like a modernized type thing?
No, this is
Where
years ago in the early 2000s.
okay. I mean, hey, if it still works, then it still works. That's pretty cool.
It just cost like 1,000. I was like,
Because it's Japanese. I mean, before you buy it, I'd make sure that they have like a language option that lets you put it in English. Otherwise, you're gonna have to learn how to read Japanese, bro.
I'm like, hey T, you know Japanese, right? You're learning
Oh
Japanese.
yeah. She come through with the help for that. Honestly, like watching anime teaches you a bunch of words in Japanese, but it most definitely has not helped me learn to read any Japanese. I'll tell you that. Um,
I watch the Japanese sub and Japanese subtitles. Just like,
but what are you learning then?
you're like, I'm gonna have to learn Kanken school somehow.
You're like associating the hand motion. You're like, I think when somebody turns their body this way, they're angry. So they're probably saying, I hate you, right? So that means I hate you. Okay, they said that. And then those letters showed up in this order. So this must be hate. That's I, that's you. All right, I got it. We're figuring this out. And then turns out the whole time she was just saying, I'm hungry.
Just like, yeah. I remember having my friends.
I mean, you could make it work if you were basically willing to watch everything twice. So every scene that happened, you did the Japanese audio and Japanese subtitles, and then you replayed it with Japanese audio and English subtitles. The issue, though, I think, is that the subtitles are written differently in different languages, and so they wouldn't line up 1-to-1. But you'd get a good enough idea, I think.
They usually write them for the audience.
Yeah. And I mean, at some point, patterns would develop where you'd see a certain set of letters where the same word is being mentioned in each sentence. And so you'd be like, okay, so that one specifically has to be that word. And then, yeah.
I think for the Panasonic GameCube, I forget which system, but it had like a Canadian version, Canadian English. I was like, that's close enough.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. What's even Canadian English? I don't know what that means, but yeah, close enough, I guess. I've been to Canada way too many times in my life, and I don't think I've ever. Well, I mean, they do have the whole A thing going on at the end of their sentences. Yeah.
In that metric system.
So your GameCube might just be pulling up on you like, you want to play Mario, eh? And then, yeah. Other than that, I think you'll be fine, though.
He's like, yes. Well, I need money for that anyway. I need a job. Then I need 2 jobs to save. I need 1 job to save up for that. And the other job to eat.
That's really how it goes, bro. It's like, I need 2 jobs, 1 for spending, 1 for saving.
Yeah. Oh, life is fun.
Yep. I think that's the outcome we can all take from everything we've experienced. Life is fun.
You was salutatorian. I was like, oh my God, my man Gene, that's smart. That's crazy.
Am I? I don't think I am. But I mean, it was an incredible honor. Really to be chosen for that. It was an incredible honor. Like when the process first started, I never thought in a million years that I would have actually ended up doing it. Like I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go in this. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. We'll see whatever happens. And I mean, I guess if there's anything to be gained from that, is really just the only thing you really can do in any situation is put your best foot forward, and sometimes it will actually work out. So, even if you don't think you have a shot at something, just like you're not losing anything by giving the best version of yourself. And so I'm really happy it worked out. I know my parents were finally happy that their lecturing after endless parent-teacher conferences finally paid off. I was just really happy I didn't make them waste money on a college education. So yeah, but trust me, it was as surprising to me as it was to you. So don't. I did not see it coming.
I was like, oh, word? Must be nice.
Must be. But yeah.
Oh, your parents paid for college? I had a financial aid. I was like, poverty.
Nah, financial aid did not want me.
I remember looking at the in high school, looking at the paper for the household income, and I wasn't on the paper. That's how low my income was. I was like, I'm going to class for free.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, shit, y'all better pay for my textbooks too. So yeah.
Do the calculations like you're like the single person household. You ain't even on that, not even on that level. I'm just like, thank you, Dad, for leaving.
I was not expecting to go there, Zeke. Oh my god. But where's shout out to him, bro? You made shit happen.
I ain't got no debt. They be like, this college debt is trillions of dollars. Somebody else's problem.
Somebody that truly is somebody else's problem. So yeah, I'm very grateful to my parents for that as well. Like because having to hear about my friends thinking about like, oh, my next student debt payment is coming up and blah blah. Um, I know I don't want that stress for myself, and God forbid I were to lose my job and something happened, like, and I had student loans to pay, I'd be in deep water. But if something happens now, yeah, at least I know I'm not paying for all of that. So I think it's definitely there's a level of freedom that comes to either graduating without student debt or like once you finally put in that final payment to pay off your student debt. I know my friend used some of his stock market winnings to pay off his student loan debt. And he was like, I don't even care if it gets forgiven in the future. I just wanted that off my conscience now. And then he just took care of it. And I was like, you do you, bro. So I respect it for sure.
Yeah. What else? Trying to make this merch. Trying to make this money.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, bro. Like just figuring out the different things you can sort of associate with your name, with your brand, and then branching out in those, trying to make businesses out of them. Yeah, I respect the hustle.
Also everything. That's funny. So like in school, also had that you had that apathy you get when you're good at school and you don't want to do it no more. So you got to put at least amount of effort. But like for
Yeah.
me, my mom,
Uh,
my mom was
hmm?
5'11". My mom's 5'11", 250. So like I still had to put in work if I didn't want to.
Yeah. Else you was gonna catch that whooping. Now I think I did develop a bit of that apathy back in middle school, which would maybe explain sort of how my high school experience went. But at some point, I don't know, kind of went away. So, well, I guess at the point where I started not performing well, it went away. And for college, I never really got that. Like, I think my first semester was my worst semester. And then I just had the foot on the gas from there on.
My worst semester was my second to last, 3-2.
That was my second worst semester. My second to last was my second worst semester. And then my last one was tied for my best semester.
The last one I had 3.7. That was a lot. Remember I told you I almost failed the class because I forgot the 7 assignments. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. I I wasn't doing too hot in physics during that second to last semester, which is why I had that, you know, GPA there. But it was, yeah, physics was a struggle. Not because I'm bad at physics. Like I took 3 years of physics back at Brooklyn Tech. I had Regents physics, then I had AP Physics B, and then I had AP Physics C. But for this class, he normally, like in my life previously, I would do physics with raw numbers, but he wanted you to do physics with just the variables, and I just was not in the mood to do physics with nothing but variables. He was like, no numbers, just do the variables. And so we were doing some algebraic physics, and I was like, bro, I haven't taken algebra since the 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember this stuff. So uh, I struggled a little bit at the start, but thankfully it was one of those classes where the final was worth half the grade. and then I ended up with like 100 on the final, so it dragged all my crap test scores back up. I said, "Bless you, bless you."
After that cover, I used to just fall asleep in class at the same exact time. Like after playing ball, just knock out real quick in the middle of the lesson, come back, participate a little bit.
I don't think I've ever done that. I would class sometimes to go hang out with people like in different offices, but I never like left class, went to play ball, and then came
No,
back.
I didn't leave. Like I was after like the club hours. I was
Oh,
and then I guess I'd be exhausted, so I just fall asleep in class at the same exact time.
okay. Oh, because you were playing ball before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to fall asleep in class too, but it was just because of lunch. Like I just get the itis around 2 p.m. every day. Even now at work, I get the itis. Like I've been even back when I was at the office, I'd be in meetings, kind of just like dozing off sometimes, and I felt so bad about it. But it was like real quick second, and then I'll just be back, and then I'd like profusely drink my water to keep myself awake. But yeah, I just be going in.
Yeah. We need a new lifestyle. These 20-hour work weeks ain't gonna work. I only work 20. I only work 18 a week now.
Yeah,
You-
yeah, you won't make it work though. Believe with everything you got going on right now, you got it.
Other week I asked for $1,000. I was like, it was funny if $1,000 came out of nowhere and blessed me, and I'm like, get $1,000. I was like, oh wow, the universe actually works.
If you talk to the universe, there will be a response. I don't know if it's the response you're gonna like, but you'll get a response.
Now it's like it'd be fun to be a billionaire. Just saying on a Jay-Z level.
Honestly, I don't even know if I want to be that rich. That's like too much money for me. It's like, what am I gonna do with that?
Just in
It's like
case.
I spend all my time trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with it instead of actually doing things with it. I feel like.
But you have to keep like
Mm.
with money. I realize money doesn't stay. It doesn't last that long. You gotta keep it coming.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have $1 billion, like honestly, I think I could comfortably retire on 10 million post tax. Yeah. So if you have $1 billion, you absolutely do not need an income to keep that up. I guarantee you do not need an income to keep that up.
You told Jeff Bezos that when he gets divorced and he's still the richest man.
Bro, they like they don't need the money. They just make more money because they want a bigger number. They don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, you legitimately have already gained all the money you could possibly ever use. Like if I had $1 billion, like just $1 billion flat, I would die with hundreds of millions still left. There is no way in hell like I'd feasibly be able to spend all of that. And I'm not exactly someone who's like automatically thinking about starting a family or anything. So I wouldn't. It's not like I'd be passing it on to my children. I'd probably just pass it on to my sister's kids or something, or my cousin's kids. But yeah.
Like here's our uncle. Here's your uncle paying for your college for life.
Paying for your college, for your kids' college, your grandkids' college.
Yeah. But that Billy though, that'd be different. It's like you gotta move different. You can't go outside no more. You only go place to place.
Yeah, I mean, just don't let anybody know you got it, bro. I really feel like.
Wars gonna be like, this person got $1 billion. Who? You lying? You lying?
Yo, I would live in a quiet house. Like I would own a mansion just for when I feel like having a mansion type lifestyle, but I don't think that's something I'd want 24/7. So I'd probably just live in a regular like $1 million house out in Long Island or something. Just chill, like drive a regular, not maybe regular, but like, type of car that a doctor could afford or something. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be whipping out in the Lambo and stuff like that. Like that, doing all that extra stuff does not interest me. If anything, I'd like try to figure out how to use that money uh to build programs and things to help out urban Black kids get introduced to arts and technology and everything earlier on, just so that they understand from a very young age just how many options are available to them in the world, and making options available to them as well. So that's probably where most of that would be going, because that just has a payoff. Like paying to build a better world, I think, is more valuable than paying for the next 5 yachts. You
I'll be
know,
like, how I get the next 1 billion is nice, but two is better.
and that really is the billionaire mentality right there. Like 1 billion's nice, but two's better. So I mean, assuming that I could make my money walk for me and actually do, the things that I want to accomplish in life, then yeah, I'd want more money. But I do have to question to an extent how much just having money can realistically do, because there are a whole lot of people with money and there are a whole lot of problems not being solved. So surely there has to be something stopping all of these billionaires from solving problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's regulatory issues, like if you can't just pump money into whatever, but I don't think that's the case. I feel like as long as it's being taxed, you can still make donations or whatever. Or do charitable donations get taxed?
No.
I know it's a tax deduction for the person
Yeah.
who gives it, but I don't know if the recipient has to give any of that to the IRS. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know what the issue is, because I read the numbers somewhere. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, so grain of salt, but it was something about how if a billionaire took a certain portion of his money, he'd be able to build housing for all of the homeless that currently exist in the country or something like that. I'm like, if it's that feasible, then why isn't someone doing it? So because I have hope in humanity, I have to think that there's some reason why they're not able to just do that. But I'm not quite sure what that is at the moment.
I'm watching a video saying like there's a bunch of like apartments and homes that are empty because it's financially better to keep them empty than fill it with somebody else in it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's about the money. If it's not going to make anybody money, then why do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And then once you get 2 billion, you start looking to a private army. And then you start looking to a private, you start buying countries. And then you start making your own Wakanda or whatever.
look, FBI, if you're listening to this right now, I am not co-signing any of the privatized military stuff. That is all Zeke. When you see Wakanda pop up in 10 years, I had nothing to do with it. But I hear you, brother. I hear you. I'm listening.
But no, they raided the Capitol. There was like, Akon, hurry up.
Akon of all people? Oh no.
He's helping out with Africa with the solar panels, all that stuff. And he
Yeah, he is helping out Africa a whole lot, but I mean, Akon don't got Wakanda money. Yeah, if he had Wakanda money, sure, I guess that'd be one of the more likely people to do it, but he don't got Wakanda money. So.
I was like, we can help him. Got me to go faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to graduation. I had my Swiss with me because I was like, it'll be 2 hours of me sitting there listening to my last lecture of my life.
Yeah, being on stage, I had less options of what to entertain myself with. I couldn't really just take out my phone up there, so I just had to start people watching and looking at everyone, and that's about all I could do. Yeah.
It's funny. My friends didn't want to be caught with a switch on the jumbo screen. No, I didn't care. I was like,
If they show it, they'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?
I'm like, yeah.
Here's my friend code. Add me, everyone."
Yeah, this was fun. This is the third episode for this season.
Yeah. What season are we on now?
5.
Season 5. Okay. Well, thank you again for inviting me.
No
I
problem.
think we had a real good conversation. We hadn't caught up in a long time, so this served to sort of do that too. So yeah, it was great.
The last question is, what would you name your origin story? Or you want to keep it secret because of your book?
Whoa, Zeke, hold up now. There's no book. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What book? What would I name my origin story? It's a good question. Damn, you had to hit me with a deep one, bro. I hadn't really thought of this. Hold up. Give me a few seconds. I got this. This might sound a little morbid, but there's always this theme that comes out in my writing, right? And I think if I were to have written a poetry book about my life, for example, this theme would likely have been prevalent in it. And it's like this theme of drowning in a sense, not necessarily drowning in water, but like headspace type of drowning. And so something related to that, like maybe like into the depths or something like that. And it would kind of be double entendre, and it would be like into the depths of my origin or my story, right? So yeah.
Nice.
I'll say that for now.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for coming and
That brings another episode of the Let's Get Podcast to a close. Again, I thank my friend Jean for joining the podcast. For next week, I'm my friend Blessing to speak about starting her own clothing brand. Hope continue that day, and I hope to see you there.